Podcast City Network. And we are back here on Final Score. I'm Chris with Craig, and we're about to talk some NCAA Final Four action. Did you catch those games?
We had some damn good games last night.
Yeah, we did. Really
I was out with some people, you know, going out and doing like some activities and all that kind of stuff. But you know, I wasn't too far away from my phone, which just so happens to have PlayStation View, so I could watch the games.
Lucky.
So I'm the weird guy standing off to the side, just staring at his phone, watching the basketball games while everybody else is interacting. And I'm like, no, it's cool. We're good. I'm just doing work here.
Yeah, this is work now. We have a show.
Yeah, this is work now. It's okay. It's okay. We have a show.
Well, did you at least tell them, though, we had a show called Final Score that you need to check out on Facebook, Twitter, Spotify, all that stuff?
Oh, of course. Yeah, I told them that we're on Google Play, iTunes, Podbean, you know, all the good ones.
Oh, yes, all the good ones that Final Score is on, so definitely make sure you go check them out. So, with these games that we had yesterday, you got to love cheap plugs. With the games we had yesterday, though, the first one I looked at was Virginia and Auburn. This was such a hotly contested game, and it took a lot from both teams to be able to get to where they did, and then they get to the end, and some people call it controversial. Some people call it basketball. But there was a controversial call at the end of the game with a three-point foul call that ended up leading to some free throws that gave Virginia the lead with, I think it was, 0.6 left?
0.6, yep.
0.6. So, you know, and it's something I've kind of brought up a few times maybe through this tournament, is the fact that I feel some calls have kind of not necessarily outright decided games, but have definitely had some type of an influence. A lot of people also point to the fact that there was a no call in this game on a double dribble, which, again, a lot of people are on other sides of the fence on this, on either side. But it was a really exciting game up until that point. It's kind of stinks when you have those things, no matter which way it goes, that, you know, kind of cloud things at the end. But it was still a great game throughout.
Yeah, that's leading up to that part of the game. It was a good game all the way around. You kind of knew what you were getting between Virginia and Auburn. Auburn, they like to get up and down the court. They like to shoot a lot of threes. Virginia, very slow, methodical, grind it out. They play tough defense. And Virginia actually led by 10 with about 5.5 minutes to go. They blew that 10-point lead.
Oh yeah.
And Auburn with three three-pointers in a stretch of a couple minutes retook the lead at 59-57 with right around 2 minutes to go. And that's when it was a tight game. Then you get all the way down to the end. That's where Kyle Guy sank a three-pointer in the opposite corner, and then they go down the court. They're coming back. That's where you have the controversial call.
Mm-hmm.
What I know, we were talking. There's both sides of it, and we were talking about this off air, but on air, what's your side? What's your stake on it? What side are you on it? What do you think?
With the 3-point shot, I felt it was a good call. My opinion, good call. You know, you can't. The thing is, you shouldn't be anywhere near making any kind of contact whatsoever or anything in any point of the shot. So, you know, that's kind of, I feel like, a boneheaded move on Auburn's side. But, you know, it is what it is. Now, when it comes to the double dribble, you know, this is something I felt that was a bad no call at first. Now, obviously, we talked about this a little bit off air. You kind of point out some technical things. But you know what I'm saying? It's still a bad no call, okay? That should have been called. Because I don't feel like calls should have any kind of impact on deciding a game. But if you commit a foul, take it on the chin.
Yeah, the foul in the corner on the 3-point shot, people are complaining, especially Auburn faithful, saying that that wasn't, he flopped, he kind of fell over. It wasn't like that was the correct call.
Yes.
The defender by the book cannot make contact with the shooter's leg. They have to give him room to land. His hip was clearly, he came up and was closing out on him and closed out too far so that he could not come down. Could not come down correctly. So he would have had to move anyway. His legs kind of got taken out from under him, but that is the definition of you're supposed to let the shooter land whenever you're guarding a jump shot. So that was absolutely the correct call.
Absolutely.
Now the double dribble before that they did not call, talking to people and watching it myself, I couldn't tell you how many people went, oh yeah, it was a double dribble. Well, did you see it live? Well, no, they showed it on replay. Yeah, you didn't see it live because it wasn't that obvious. No one even knew that it was a potential double dribble until they saw the replay that CBS did. And then everyone goes up in flames about, oh, that should have been called. That was terrible. The referees weren't paying attention. And, the three-pointer never should have happened. Okay. You want to go down that rabbit hole and open up that box? I've shown you this already. That double dribble shouldn't have happened because I showed you this photo. He's clearly already getting fouled before that double dribble happens, which is why he lost the possession of the ball in the first place. So if you really want to go down that road, he was fouled before the double dribble, so the double dribble doesn't count. So then the three-point shot doesn't count. How far back do you want to go? Jay Williams said it best on ESPN last night and this morning. If you should not want to go down, you don't want to open up that box, because if you go in to review everything in the last minute, as it pertains to this game, double dribble doesn't happen because of that foul at near half court. So basically everything's a wash. So those two fouls, or that, I guess those two violations, cancel each other out. Now you're back to the three-point shot. Was it a foul or not? Absolutely.
Yes, it definitely was a foul. The three-point shot was a foul.
So, okay, those first two are a wash because they're both violations on other teams. So is it like the NFL? All right, well, offsetting penalties, just do it again. What if the three-point shot still happens then? Okay, well, now you're still in the same boat. So I think that it was a terrible way to end the game.
Definitely.
To have people feel like the refs got involved, but they had, that was, in my opinion, the most correct way they could have went about it. It's just unfortunate that it had to happen that way, where it happened with 0.6 to go. Kyle Guy, with ice water in his veins, hits 2 free throws. Bruce Pearl calls a timeout to try to ice him for the last one and sinks the third. Basically game over.
God, it was classic though.
It was a classic game, but I don't think that right there, that did not dictate the game, in my opinion, for Auburn. Auburn had to hit 3 threes in like a 3.5, 4 minute stretch. But the story for them, they went 9 of 31 from 3.
Woo.
That's 29%.
That's horrible.
And their game is they go up and down. They try to shoot as many shots as possible, get up as many shots. They actually attempted, throughout the course of the whole season, tournament included, they attempted the most field goals and most three-pointers in the whole country by a wide margin. But that's what you're going to get. That's part of the reason why they won the games that they did. They got hot. They were hitting three-pointers. I mean, look at their game against North Carolina. They hit, 16 threes?
16.
Teams don't hit that many in a game.
No, they really don't. It's really unheard of to have that many threes in a game.
That's part of their game. I mean, when you shoot 31 threes, it's probably because you're trying to jack up a bunch of threes.
Yep.
A lot of them are good shots, but if you go 9 of 31 from 3, I don't think you're going to win many games, and I think that was one of the big reasons why they didn't win this game. If they get on a roll and hit, I don't know, maybe 3 or 4 more of those threes, you got a much different game. And
definitely.
And Virginia is going to have to try to play keep up or play catch up instead of wasting away a 10-point lead. It's a much closer game all the way through. And I think the game plays out much differently there.
Well, you definitely make very valid points there on that end. But looking on the other side of our Final Four, we had Michigan State and Texas Tech, which ended in a way I didn't expect. I feel like my brackets are completely on fire at this point because I had Michigan State winning this, but Texas Tech pulls what I see as the upset and beats Michigan State 61-51, and some great defense displayed by Texas Tech to help pull this game out.
Not much of an upset, in my opinion. Having watched Texas Tech a bit throughout the season, they were the co-champions of the Big 12 with Kansas State. They're one of the top defensive teams in the country. They have a guy in Jarrett Culver who is a potential top 10 pick. He's a lock of a lottery pick in the draft this year. He's been playing extremely well. They've had players like Matt Mooney step up. He had 22 points in this game. He carried the load while Culver was shooting horribly up until then. The first roughly 35 minutes of the game, Matt Mooney was shooting 57% from the field, hit 4 3-pointers, and had all of his 22 points. Culver, on the other hand, only had 3 points, was 1 of 9 from the field, and missed on both of his 3-point attempts, but still finished the game with 10 points. So he finishes out the last, say, 2.5, 3 minutes of the game with 7 of their points to help increase their lead. And they just have a swarming defense.
Absolutely.
They get after you. And that is why they inevitably won this game. Is Michigan State played well enough. I mean, they played well enough. They only shot as a team though 31% from the field, and they shot 29% from 3, 7 of 24. So they didn't shoot well from there. They shot decently well from the free throw line. They got there 18 times.
Yeah.
So I mean, you're getting fouls, rebounding. They out rebounded Texas Tech 32 to 30, excuse me. I mean, but they had 10 turnovers. You can't win the game if you've got 10 turnovers. And Cassius Winston, who's been a guy that throughout the whole year, that's been his thing, is he gets guys the ball. He doesn't turn the ball over. He's a great scorer. Yeah, he had 16 points, but he only had 2 assists. He had 4 turnovers. If you're primary ball handler and your guy that gets the offense going plays like that, you're going to have a tough chance of winning. So I think that was the big key right there, is that Texas Tech they just played really, really hard. They played really hard for Coach Beard, and they deserve it. They deserve to win for sure.
Well, I think it's just that they just played hard, but they also played smart, and that's the big thing too. Is that they weren't like just going up and just jacking up threes or doing anything crazy. It's just they went out and they played hard basketball, and that's the big thing that you definitely want to see in this type of a matchup. And like you said, with all the turnovers and stuff that's going on, here's another stat for you: Texas Tech had 4 blocks and 4 steals in this game, to Michigan State's 2-1. That's a big game changer when you look at that, because if you're able to get those turnovers and score off those turnovers, that is always going to help shift momentum your way, especially if you can do it and start building yourself some type of a margin, which obviously Texas Tech was able to capitalize on that with their suffocating D to be able to push themselves to this 10-point win. So it's definitely going to be interesting to see this matchup. But
Tariq Owens had 3 of those blocks too. He's a guy that he's a long, athletic kid. Played. I know he was a transfer from St. John's. He went to one other school. I can't remember it off the top of my head too, but he was a grad transfer to Texas Tech for his final year. That dude, he went down with an ankle injury in the second half.
Yep.
But thankfully, it looked uglier than it actually was.
Yeah, I think he'll be okay, honestly.
Well, he came out and they basically wrapped up his ankle, probably gave him a shot, and he went out and he ran out back to the court. So, which was a good sign.
Definitely.
And but yeah, up until then, he was playing really, really well, and he's really the pivot of their defense. Like in the paint, he's their rim protector.
Definitely.
He's not a big, strong guy like Michigan State's got. They got Nick Ward, and they got some of those big-bodied guys, but Tariq Owens, that dude's just an athletic defensive playmaker.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he was a big reason. He altered a lot of shots that when Michigan State was coming in the paint.
Oh, yeah.
So, I mean, that's another big reason I think why they won the game.
Absolutely. But the thing is, they're really going to need to rely on that when they have this matchup with Virginia in our final for the national championship. And this game, I think, has potential really to be a classic, honestly. I think Virginia is definitely going to come in trying to play the best ball they can, but Texas Tech and that defense is going to be suffocating, and I think it's going to really lead to a great game. And a lot of people agree with us because the line for this game opened up at Virginia being only favored by 1 point.
Yeah.
Which I think is a big telling sign. That and the for this game also features the lowest over-under for a final in the NCAA tournament in 20 years. The game opened up at 120. It's currently sitting about at 118. Superbook, I think, has it at 117.5. And it's really crazy. They're not expecting a lot of points in this game.
Yeah, don't. If you like the high-scoring up and down basketball that people love, like you love the and all that kind of stuff, you don't want to watch this game. This is not your game.
Yes.
But if you're an old school, you love defense, like me personally, I love watching good defensive teams.
Yes.
And this game, this is going to be for you. It's going to be a good one. But this is both Virginia and Texas Tech's first appearance in the national final for each school. And that's the first time that's happened where both teams are making their first appearance since 1979, since a couple of guys named Magic Johnson and Larry Bird faced off.
Oh yeah, Michigan State, Indiana State. So definitely very historic in that type of a sense.
Yeah.
But it's definitely going to be interesting. Texas Tech is seeking to be the first team to win the title in their first Final Four appearance since UConn did it in 1999. And Virginia is looking to be the first team to lead D1 in scoring defense and win title in 60 seasons.
Yes,
a lot of teams are trying to do things here.
There's going to be a lot of firsts going on.
A lot of firsts. I love firsts.
A lot of firsts.
Just like the AAF. Ooh,
too soon?
Ooh, too soon?
Too soon?
Too soon? Nah, it's okay. We'll give it another 2 weeks. It'll be fine.
Yeah, give it another couple weeks. It'll be fine.
All right. But still, this game I think is going to be a really great game. There's going to be a lot of great defense. I'm really hoping for like some really nasty block shots. I always love those. But, we'll see what happens. Texas Tech's definitely going to come ready to play. Virginia's going to come ready to play. But only one team can come out on top. Who do you have winning it all?
This is going to be a close game. I think the first team to 60 wins. I think it's going to be like a 61-58 kind of game, if it even gets that high. But I think Texas Tech pulls out this game. This is a tough game to pick, to be honest.
It really is.
Both teams playing really well, but what I look at and why I have Texas Tech winning, in each of their 5 games that they've played in the NCAA tournament thus far, they have held their opponents to one of its 2 worst offensive performances of the season.
Very true.
So their first round matchup against NKU, they held them to their second worst offensive game of the year. Buffalo, Michigan, worst games offensively of their whole seasons in those games. Gonzaga, second worst. Michigan State, their worst. So the fact that how they play defense, they just suffocate you in a different way than Virginia does it.
Mm-hmm.
But they both play solid defense.
Absolutely.
As far as defensive rankings, Texas Tech ranks 3rd in defensive points a game. Virginia's 1st. For defensive efficiency, Texas Tech is 1st. Virginia's 3rd. Defensive field goal percentage, Texas Tech is 1st. And Virginia is 5th. So I think just because of how they play defense and how they swarm around whoever the best player is, whether it's in the post, on the perimeter, and I think a guy like Matt Mooney, who played so well in the last game, and Jarrett Culver is going to have a tough game against DeAndre Hunter, who is another guy who's a lottery pick, probably even a top 10 pick this year in the draft. Though that matchup right there of Culver versus Hunter is going to be my matchup to watch for this game.
Oh, absolutely.
It's going to be a great game to watch. But I ultimately have Texas Tech barely winning. It'll be probably like a 60-59, 61-58, somewhere in that range.
I definitely I have to agree with you because this is going to be an amazing game. Defense is going to be on display, so if you're looking for crazy amounts of scoring, it's not going to be the game for you. Texas Tech, the brand of defense they play, I feel, is really going to end up upsetting a lot of what Virginia does, and is going to lead them all the way to winning this national championship. I kind of have like more of a 58-56, kind of on the lower end. I think the under on this is what's going to be hit, and it's going to be a really great game. It's going to be a ultimate classic. But Texas Tech will come out on top. So
get their first men's national title.
Yes, first men's national title because they
do have a women's national title.
That they do. But
Cheryl Swoops led them to that one.
That they did. Man, we're pulling all kinds of things out today.
Pulling all kinds of stuff out.
Oh man, just like pulling some things out, like how we're going to cover here in our NFL segment, because it's been quite an interesting week in the NFL. Even though we are still technically in the off season. But
this is supposed to be the slow time.
This is supposed to be the slow time, and now we have this story break about the Green Bay Packers' former head coach, Mike McCarthy, that was literally kind of chronicling a lot of the issues that were between himself and Aaron Rodgers during Mike McCarthy's time in Green Bay. And it really opened up some eyes, I think, and painted a picture for people that didn't really know what was going on between the two of them.
Yes, I think to the mainstream media and the mainstream fan, this is come as out of left field, but kind of digging into this a little bit, as I've been able to do for the last couple of days, this has been no surprise. This has apparently been one of the worst kept secrets in the Green Bay locker room or Green Bay circles. But it's actually a story that was posted on Bleacher Report by Tyler Dunn, and this was a great read.
Oh, it really was.
It was
I
a
enjoyed
great
it.
read. This story, man, this is something.
It really is.
Not only does it shed light on the whole situation, not really ever in a story does it make every party look terrible.
It really does.
It makes Mike McCarthy, this story makes him out to be
like an idiot.
An idiot. Lowest IQ Aaron Rodgers has ever played with.
You got to take into account, when I heard that statement, I'm like, does that include his high school coach? Because
I thought that too.
You know what I'm thinking?
He meant that.
Oh, he did, every word.
And then it makes Aaron Rodgers look like what most people think he is anyway.
Yeah.
Which he's very passive aggressive. He thinks he's smarter than you. Sometimes he knows he's smarter than a lot of people. So, he went to Cal Berkeley. You can't be dumb to go there, right?
That's true. That is true.
So it paints him in a certain light, and it also paints the organization of Green Bay in a certain light too, that they knew all of this was going on and they did nothing about it.
No.
How bad of an organization. And I know people have, because we've had this conversation on other episodes, where how have the Packers not won more Super Bowls with Aaron Rodgers?
Oh, absolutely. And I think, with this type of story coming out, that really sheds the light as to why. You can't expect to have any kind of dissent in your locker room, in your coaching staff, and expect to win multiple titles. Because they were claiming even in this report that all the way back in 2010 when they won their Super Bowl, that there was dissent even then. They were just able to keep everything going to be able to push it to a Super Bowl championship. So it's kind of crazy when you're looking through this and seeing what kind of transpired. And a lot of people are saying this really goes all the way back to the NFL draft, when you had Aaron Rodgers sitting in the green room waiting and waiting and waiting as team after team after team passed him by until he fell all the way to Green Bay. And one of those people that passed on him, Mike McCarthy.
Yeah, Mike McCarthy was the offensive coordinator for San Francisco at the time, who had the number 1 pick.
And
they took Alex Smith. And which, that was...
It was not a bad pick.
It wasn't a bad pick at the time. But basically what he holds against him is the fact that Mike McCarthy, that is, came out and verbally said that Alex Smith was a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers.
And I think that stuck with Aaron.
Well, obviously he holds a grudge.
Obviously, you can't just say that. You can say like, oh, maybe as a player he's a better, maybe statistically. You never know what's going to happen.
Yeah,
You really never know what's going to happen.
I love this quote from Ryan Grant, who was the running back from 2007 to 12. This was his quote in the story. He said, quote, "Aaron's always had a chip on his shoulder with Mike. The guy who ended up becoming your coach passed on you when he had the chance. Aaron was upset that Mike passed on him, that Mike actually verbally said that Alex Smith was a better quarterback, end quote.
That's crazy. Oh my gosh, it's so crazy.
Like the fact that, like, take out some of the other stuff too, that Aaron Rodgers said that he had one of the lowest IQs of anyone he's ever coached with. He's been on national TV, like in a broadcast in the game, calling out that the play calls he was making were stupid effing calls.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean,
or where they almost came into blows in 2014 when they were playing against Cincinnati.
I mean, this story is like, it's like an onion. You just keep peeling it
It's
back.
just more and more.
Just more. I love it. It was so funny. Like watching some people that we follow for the show on Twitter.
Mm-hmm. Once
this story broke, oh my goodness, it was great. It's great drama. If you
it really is.
But this is great news. I mean, this story is...
Well, even when you look at it, I guess there was also a longtime friend of Aaron Rodgers, a person who I guess was basically a vent-off for Aaron Rodgers, and said that Aaron Rodgers would call them and say all kinds of crazy stuff about how Mike McCarthy didn't have a clue what he was doing, that Mike McCarthy frequently called the wrong play, that he used the wrong personnel, that they were running plays that worked 1 out of 50 times in practice, and that McCarthy was a buffoon who was constantly bailing out. That's just
wow.
That's pretty harsh. And then followed up with, Mike has a low football IQ that used to always bother Aaron. He'd say Mike has one of the lowest IQs, if not the lowest of any coach he's ever had. It's just crazy. It's just crazy that you would have this type of dissent that would lead literally to this kind of point where you have a guy who I feel could have been on like a Tom Brady-esque level and really have created a true dynasty in Green Bay. And because of a cancer you have walking around in the locker room between the that a cancer that's just growing between coach and player, you're not able to fulfill that.
Yeah, even like that stretch that they had where they won the Super Bowl in 2010, they went 15-1 in 2011. They could have had something special. But it's crazy that, first of all, knowing when you brought in Mike McCarthy, I mean, you didn't do any homework on him a little bit and be like, not know maybe even in the first couple years that this wasn't going to work because Aaron Rodgers doesn't like him and they don't get along. And I don't know, maybe it was just because winning covers a lot of things. But since they haven't been winning, I mean, everything's now coming to light. So we'll see if what's that?
Another interesting take on this was by another Packers running back, Dwan Harris, who said that you get to the point where you start arguing, you start losing. When the money's bad, you argue. So, but you get to the point you start hating how somebody breathes. You start hating how somebody chews their food. He said it got so bad that it's like the disgust between the two got
it's
so
like
visceral.
it's like when you're in a bad relationship, but you stick around just because you don't know why. And you're like, you hate how that person breathes.
Yeah, you hate everything. You hate every facial expression they make.
Like anytime they do
every little side.
Anytime, they do a little side, and you go, "What was that all about?"
Yeah, exactly. Like there's so much more to it.
Like they get pissed off, legitimately pissed off.
And it's easy to kind of frost over things sometimes when you're winning.
Yeah,
and you're winning division championships. You're making it to the playoffs.
But I mean,
winning a Super Bowl. But
doing it the way they were doing it, I mean, you put no offensive weapons around him. You got him no defense whatsoever.
Which, when you look at it, it really kind of really gives a more complete picture, I should say, of how these past really like 5 seasons have been for the Packers. Because you always felt that they definitely have the pieces to make it happen. Why is it not happening?
Yeah,
and now we know why.
Now we know why. Hopefully, Matt LaFleur can keep that honeymoon period a little bit longer than Mike McCarthy did.
Well, no matter how you look, I feel like Matt LaFleur might have a little bit more of a, as Aaron Rodgers would say, a higher football IQ maybe.
Yeah.
But we'll definitely see. I feel with this kind of a story coming out, it's very, very telling in a lot of ways. Mike McCarthy, though, has come out and denied aspects of this, including there was a part where he was claimed to have skipped meetings for massages and things like that, which he has refuted. But at the end of the day, it's really just a big crap show where you're seeing people just sling it as hard as they can at the other.
That is true. But you know what's coming up all roses right now for someone in particular, not with the Green Bay Packers, DeMarcus Lawrence.
Yes, DeMarcus
That boy
Lawrence.
got paid this week.
Oh, he was looking to get paid, and he got paid handsomely because DeMarcus Lawrence has now signed a 5-year, $105 million extension with $65 million guaranteed. And Lawrence, I could use a few bucks. Just come on by the studio, drop it off. We'll use it for some upgrades. We have some nice water here for you, so just feel free. But no, great part of this though is that Dallas is making sure that they're going to get what they need out of him now, because in year one of this contract, DeMarcus Lawrence will be due $31.1 million for the first year with a $25 million signing bonus. So yeah, dude just got paid hardcore, especially considering the kind of seasons he had in 2017 and 2018. The dude was just out of his mind. And when you look at it, he had 14.5 sacks in 2017. Dallas turns around and says, okay, cool, let's see if you can do it again. Gets 10.5 sacks in 2018. Not quite as good, but definitely double-digit sack season is a good season.
Yeah, and he's still a young player. He's only 26 years old, so he's got still a lot of gas in the tank, if you will. But I mean, when you draft the guy with 34th overall and second pick of the second round, you would imagine that he's going to be a guy that they're going to anchor their defense around, which looks like they are.
Well, they definitely were trying, but they had some stumbles out of the gate, as you could say, because he ended up suffering a broken foot in training camp his rookie year. He missed about half the season, so that definitely was a setback. He ended up also having back surgery, his first of two, at the end of 2015. Had the second one at the end of 2016, but he hasn't missed a game since. But the thing is, though, is that he does need shoulder surgery. Currently, he played through a torn labrum through part of last season, but they expect him to be out and participating in training camp. So shouldn't dig into his contribution at all. He should be able to make all games. Should be full go. But one thing I do worry about with DeMarcus Lawrence isn't necessarily, I would say, like full-on character issues, but he was suspended for 4 games at the beginning of the 2016 season for violating the NFL substance abuse policy. He ended up being testing positive for amphetamines. But
yeah,
any number of things could cause that, because I feel like if I can
it's really easy to get suspended by the NFL.
Oh, I could go.
Policy.
I can go and chew a pack of gum, I'm sure, and go blow into a breathalyzer, and I'm going to test positive for 3 anabolic steroids somehow. So, it's
probably the three steroids you're taking right now.
But anyways, looking at it though, DeMarcus Lawrence is going to be a great talent, and I think he is going to be what's going to help Dallas maybe get over the little hump they've had recently, because Dallas has been very dismal when it comes to playoff play. Getting into playoffs has been a little easier lately, but sustaining a run in playoffs has been way harder, because they still haven't won a playoff game since what, 20 years ago?
No, it's been a little more recent than that.
Yeah, they had one. They had one in 2013.
Beat my Lions.
Yeah, they beat your Lions.
Yeah,
but is that really a playoff game though?
Yeah, should have been. Lions should have won that game.
Shoulda, woulda, coulda.
There was a face guarding pass interference no call that would have sealed the game for us. That was not called. Just saying.
But you know what? They made sure to call it Super Bowl 52, and the Eagles rolled to beating the Patriots. So at least they got it somewhere.
It's okay. The Lions will have another no call come up next season that'll eventually become a new NFL rule. So it's cool. It's part of the Lions curse.
It's okay. You sneeze in the wrong direction, they make an NFL rule for it. So you'll be okay. You'll get covered. But no, definitely hats off to DeMarcus Lawrence. You just got paid.
Yeah, buddy.
Because, and it just definitely shows Dallas is really trying to shore up this defense now, because I feel they really do have a defense that really could make some noise this upcoming year, especially with Jalen Smith and the one linebacker out of BYU. What's his name?
Oh, Vander Esch.
Vander Esch. There it is. Almost called him Von Erich, but that's a wrestler.
That kid's good.
Yeah, he's real good. So you're looking at this defense, and now you have DeMarcus Lawrence, who is paid and locked in. They made the trade for the one defensive end, Robert Quinn from Miami, got him locked in. So Dallas is definitely making some moves, and even though it hurts me to say that Dallas is going to be a more competitive team this upcoming season, I really hope the Eagles still put them back in their place. So we'll see what happens. But
so I got a question then. We were texting about this as soon as this news broke.
Okay.
And they have people coming up for free agency coming up soon. Mm-hmm. You've got, as you at the aforementioned, Jalen Smith.
Right.
So now they just signed DeMarcus Lawrence, but you still got Dak Prescott, Zeke Elliott, and a guy named Amari Cooper coming up.
Oh yeah, that guy.
That receiver that they traded for.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think? How do you think this plays out? Like, do you think this contract affects other players signing anybody else or what?
I don't, and only for one reason. It's because they front end loaded this contract. You have $31 million of this contract being paid out in the first year, so you still have a little wiggle room for this year only because you are having Zeke in the final year of his rookie deal. You have Dak in the final year of his rookie deal. Mari Cooper, I don't believe he's in the final year of his.
He is. He's going to be. I have it right here. So he's in the final year of his deal. He's a unrestricted free agent in 2020. So
okay, so this is the final year of his deal,
and he's set to make $13.9 million this year.
Mm-hmm. Well, he'll still get paid, and I think that's going to be part of the plan. Is that no matter what, the deal's not going to start until next year, so it gives them wiggle room that you still have two of your star players on rookie contracts. You do have Amari Cooper set to make the $13 million, but you're able to offset that a little bit just because next year. It's going to be, they are going to be paying basically for Amari Cooper and DeMarcus Lawrence as the bulk of everything, but you still have guys that are on rookie deals because another one that's going to be on the rookie deal, Jalen Smith, still on his rookie deal. Right. You still have the other linebacker. I keep wanting to say Von Erich. I'm sorry.
No, Vander Esch is for a couple of years.
Yeah, that's right. He only got drafted a year or two ago.
Yeah, he only got drafted last year.
So the luck that they have is that a lot of their star players right now that are really their biggest contributors are on rookie deals. So for this season, they'll be okay, which is why they have the $31 million go to DeMarcus Lawrence. But that number will drop going into the following season. Right. So that'll give them some wiggle room, but they're going to have to do a lot of careful planning, a lot of careful movement to be able to get everybody still in a Dallas uniform after that season.
Yeah, it'll be interesting because the biggest hit is going to be Dak. Because
for sure.
Dak only makes $700K this year because he was a third-round draft pick. He's going to be making around the $20 million range by the time they give him a restructured deal. So when they re-sign him, he's going to be around that $20 million range. I've read on the Cowboys Wire this is from probably about a month ago, but they've already been talking about re-signing Cooper, but they're going to restructure his deal so the 2019 cap hit isn't the $13 million.
Right.
It would be much lower, so that way he can make it the next year. And then, of course, Zeke, his is probably going to be a lot like Gurley's deal where it's very front-loaded, a lot of guarantees, so that way signing bonus is all taken care of.
And certain incentives, I'm sure, to be able to help push it.
Correct. So the big one that's really going to be for them is going to be Dak Prescott. I mean, is he worth $20 million? I personally don't think so.
I don't either.
He's a damn good quarterback.
Oh, he's good.
And he's great for that organization.
But in my opinion, he's a game manager. He's probably one of your better game managers you can get.
He's got a good arm. He can make a lot of the throws.
But the thing is, though, is the offense is not literally circled around him. You have a great running back that they definitely try to get the ball into his hands on a regular basis as much as possible. And you have a guy who can sling a quarterback. But when you have a Zeke Elliott sitting back there, I take so much pressure off of your passing game.
I mean, if I were a quarterback, my best friend, I would want a solid offensive line, which they still have.
They definitely do.
They still have a solid offensive line, and you've got a stud running back behind you to hand it off to. Mm-hmm. So I think it's a good idea if you think he's your quarterback, by all means pay him. I wouldn't pay him. I'd probably pay him like middle of the road starting money, which is still $18 million.
I was gonna say about 16 to 18 I would offer him, maybe 19, but I don't think you pay 20 or more for him, in my opinion. I think he's good, but he hasn't really proven himself to be an elite quarterback yet, to be a guy that you can call your franchise quarterback.
Yeah, it'll be really interesting to see how that plays out.
It definitely will be interesting to see how it plays out. But another thing we're going to have to take a look at is some things that we love or hate. New segment.
Yeah, new segment. So this is kind of a fun one that we wanted to introduce. So the segment is going to be called Love It or Hate It. And it's exactly what it sounds like. We're going to have one topic here and there that it'll be based around something we're already doing, but it'll be a topic that we're both going to put our take on, and either we love what's going on or we hate what's going on. And it'll be hopefully it's meant to be kind of a fun new segment for us to talk about some more stuff.
Definitely. So we got to hit it right off right then. Love it or hate it, NFL's New York Jets unveiled new Gotham green uniforms this past Thursday.
Oh God,
love it or hate
They're
it.
so ugly. Oh God, they're so ugly. Oh man, so we saw these leaked earlier this week,
Right.
and they didn't know if this was going to be real, and they looked like somebody had generated these. You know how fans do redesigns and all that stuff. I thought it was a fan redesign, and I was like, okay, that's interesting. Nope, that they're going with it.
Oh, that's official. You know what's funny about it? They said this took 5 years to come up with and fully do out. And it kind of boggles my mind because, like you, I hate it. It literally looks like you kind of went into an old Madden 2005, create a uniform, and try to pull something out of your butt. You know what I really think it is? I think they're really just trying to make the team look like Michigan State at this point for Le'Veon Bell. It's the only thing that makes sense. Make him happy by giving him a nice green helmet, which I love the helmets, by the way. It's probably about the only part of this I like.
They tried to go back to remember the old 90s logo?
Oh, yeah.
That they had the jet incorporated in the word Jets.
Mm-hmm.
So I do kind of like that because that's kind of the Jets that I grew up watching. But
Definitely.
God, those jerseys were ugly.
Yes.
I actually liked the jerseys they just had where it was the throwback to kind of the 60s and 70s.
Yes.
I liked those.
I like those as well.
Those Gotham greens, oh my God. You know when they do Color Rush on Thursdays, those are going to be all green. They're going to be ugly.
And that's going to be horrible. And you're going to have people with color blindness that are just going to be so upset.
They're going to be fugly.
They're going to be super fugly. So definitely a hate it, I think, for both of us. They definitely need to go and sue whoever designed those for them.
I think Oscar the Grouch, that's his vomit.
It might be his vomit.
It might be his vomit.
And it just happened to pool up together to look like a jersey. So, it works out nice if you're going for that. So,
Ugh.
Yeah, it's pretty awful. If you haven't had a chance to go check them out, definitely make sure that you go on the FinalScore Twitter page. I just lost my train of thought for a minute. Don't mind me.
What's going on?
Yeah, I went off there. I don't know. We're watching some baseball over here, and I don't know. I got trapped in the colors, I guess. Got distracted. Ooh, look.
Ooh, shiny.
Piece candy.
Ooh, shiny.
But if you haven't had a chance to check them out, go on to the Final Score Twitter at PCN Final Score and go check out some of our postings that we've made. We do have them up on there horrifically, but they are there. Go check them out for yourself and let us know. And while you do that, we're going to go ahead and take a little break here and let you hear some words from our sponsors. But definitely make sure that you stay tuned, as when we come back, we're going to cover a little bit of Major League Baseball, have our good old Give or Go segment, and talk about things coming up in the next week. So definitely make sure that you stay tuned. We'll be right back.
Podcast City Network.